up to a range of possibilities, and it opened me up to a lot of the forces of fear that existed within me. That's really what it did, you know, because you can read only but so much, but it opened me up to that. But I think one of the points I wanted to get at is that a lot of the fear that we see, because a lot of people who come from that background, I want to kind of just rap about it for a second. A lot of the things that we see are generated by other people. I mean, anyone who reads any history or economics or politics to a certain degree will understand that it's only a few who control the many. You know what I mean? And, you know, I've read about it. You know, you and I know some of our friends, a great deal of people have read about the different things like control of governments and bringing oppressive regimes that, you know, and different powers that these so-called groups supposedly have. And I just wanted to like ask what you think about that and kind of build on that for a second, because lately too we've been talked about the whole alien conspiracies, you know, and how that plays. And you know, as I've always said, you know, dude, we've been around to see that there's been a series of movies like with the whole Independence Day and bringing the big sphere over the city. I've seen that thing done so many times, you know, and you see the Ron Brown Da Vinci Code kind of conspiracy theories in the Catholic Church kind of thing, or Illuminati and whatnot. What is your feel about the whole conspiracy theory and its web intertwined with fear?
I think a large part of the reason that we even are aware of stuff like that is to help generate fear within the collective. Because if that is the reality that we attach ourselves to, it makes it more of a possibility that they are able to bring that into manifestation. But check it out. If you deal with the fear of it in yourself and use it to help manifest in you the God that you are, then the necessity for all the external fear or fear of any kind is no longer is not necessary anymore. And so that negates its very presence, existence, necessity, whatever. So I think all this conspiracy stuff is being pumped into the undercurrent of what is appearing in the mainstream, so that we can begin to deal with the fear of it. And when we deal with the fear of it, all the negative stuff that we may believe is going to happen no longer needs to happen, because its only purpose is to push us to recognize the reality of who and what we are.
Definitely, man. I feel that because you know, I remember some of my friends and I in college, we would read that stuff all the time. The political, you know, the political conspiracies, the whole thing that they're controlling the water. You know what I mean? Like that they're hoarding, you know, water. That they're building cities on other planets because they plan to burn this one up. And at a certain point, man, I read the stuff so much that I realized at a certain point, if it was all true, it still doesn't matter, because you can't do nothing about it physically. And then what I started to realize that is this: whether true or not, like you said, if it's being put out there, then what it is a reflection in the outer world of the more subtle aspects of our own ego and desire to control and to keep ourselves and others in fear. You know what I mean? And then, like, dude, you know what I started to think about, man? I started to think about something like in the scriptural pattern, they say that Esau would be a servant to Jacob. And when I looked at that, and then you look in the mythology of Adam and Eve, and then having a son Cain, right? I looked at that, and then I looked at the Esau being a servant of Jacob, and I started to see something, man. Negativity in people is only born when we diminish the spirituality in ourselves. So when we're looking at the conspiracy, you know, Illuminati, Freemasons, all of this stuff, all of that is a manifestation of our diminishing the spiritual in ourselves. So when we recover it, like you said, it immediately eliminates or decreases the need for that to manifest in another. So another is just a manifestation. He's like we were talking about with Legion. They're just the weak-willed manifesting something that is needed to bring us to correction in ourselves. So there is no they.
Yeah.
It's all us.
Because regardless of whatever their intentions are, the intention of the Creator is that we use whatever we come into contact with for the purpose of growth.
Yeah.
And if we use it for that purpose, that renders them irrelevant.
Exactly.
The they.
Exactly.
They exist.
And when we're saying the they, we're really all we're talking about is a kind of like a stagnant, egotistical energy that is spread out amongst all of us and maybe focused in some, but it's the result of the disconnection in all of us.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So there is no they.
So it's actually it's all good.
Yeah.
It's this catalyst to help us remember the reality of who and what we are.
Exactly, man. Exactly. Because it's like, you know, I think about how all you need is for one person to bring back balance to a disease, and they create a vaccine that can wipe out the disease in all the people. You see what I'm saying? That one person can resolve and bring the issue back to balance, and once it's done in that particular area, it spreads back to all of them. You know what I mean? Well, yeah. So I just wanted to go over that, you know, and then that whole issue. I wanted to hit that because I think sometimes it's because it's so subtle and it's easier in the conspiracy theory to put it on a they. It's easy for the ego and us to hide from correction. Yeah. Because we project it out into
like it's not our responsibility.
Yeah, it's like, oh, when they do this, when they correct that, then the world will be free. No. Yeah. There is no that. They only exist because of me.
Because we messed up.
And they're only there as like contractions on a birth process so that we can give birth to the right life. Yeah. You know what I mean? To get on fear and relationships. Because fear in relationships takes it away from the abstract and brings it to 100% humanity for all of us. Because fear in its strongest form is most deeply manifest in our relationships. Beyond economic crisis, beyond swine flus, beyond Haiti, beyond whatever else is going to manifest in the earth until we reconnect fully, it will be always most heavily hit in relationships because that's the most integral part of our reality physically and the way we perceive ourselves internally as well. So I put that out there so that we can kind of touch on that as well and deal with, you know, some possible ways to perceive it and to transform how it negatively affects us as opposed to using it as a building process. You know,
I think in all relationships, the one that we have with ourselves, the one that we have with other people, fear is something that disconnects and pushes people away. And it like partitions our own mind, and that creates hell or insanity in our experience. So we have to reintegrate, and the energy that reintegrates is the energy of love and compassion. So really, love and compassion are is like the opposite of fear. If there's an opposite, because it does the opposite thing. It reintegrates and brings everything back into one whole, as opposed to chopping it up and separating all those pieces. And it has to start with us. So we have to have unconditional love and compassion for our own self. And there are a lot of things in us that we may be afraid of, even if we can't pinpoint it. We may be responding to that fear unconsciously, like in the case of depression. And I know everybody's situation is different, but one of the main sources of depression is, or one of the main things keeping us in the state of depression is an unwillingness to recognize how we play a part in keeping us in that state. It's always putting it on something else, our external situations, on something that is not our responsibility or something that we don't have the ability to change. And we have to reverse that whole mindset. So rather than be afraid of that thing in us that is responsible for it, we have to show love to it, recognize it as a part of us, recognize that we are playing a part in creating this experience, and then change that.
And I think that like